Welcome everybody to the final week of the regular season here, Upsurge Contenders League. Stop it. My producers call it CLOL in my ear. That was last weekend. We're done with that. Now C stands for Contenders. All right. Upsurge Contenders League here, week 5, the last week of the regular season. I'm Audio, your host, joined by my partner in crime, Nightstar. He's around here somewhere. I don't know what side. But we've got a great match for you guys tonight. It's not the one that we expected to be casted. If you did follow our Twitter, a little bit of an oopsie last minute schedule turnaround. And so Nightstar, we're going to be looking instead at Wichita Wolves taking on AoE Reborn. Now, Wichita Wolves undefeated and AoE Reborn just on the cusp of being in that top 4. They're currently residing at 3, but tied with Team 15. What do these teams have to do? What do their playoffs look like?
To start off, I'm doing great, Audio. I can't wait to watch some League of Legends. Thanks for asking.
Nobody asked. Let's get to the game, okay? Please, we're professionals.
But I mean, like today, usually we waited until we get into game for the yakety sacks to start happening. This time we just got started a lot earlier, you know? But
our game.
This is definitely an important match for both of these squads, because for AoE Reborn, it's win and you're in. And on the flip side for Wichita, it's win in your first seed. If they lose this match, there is a very real possibility that they will drop into that second slot.
And now, Nightstar, you were running me through some of the playoff scenarios here for AoE Born. And you say win and you're in. Are we looking for a 2-0? Can just a single win at least improve their chances? Or do they have to take down Wichita Wolves through and through, the undefeated team?
Well, taking the series win will certainly guarantee themselves into playoffs for sure. If they go 1-2, it does leave it a little bit up in the air, because it means that Alventus could potentially tie them in game score if they are able to 2-0 their series tonight. It is going to be, of course, a bit of a tall task for, I believe Alventus are playing no name, so there's a very real possibility Alventus just get the 2-0. And that just applies a lot of pressure on both AoE Reborn and Team 15, who also are on that bubble. So they would be really looking at the results and waiting for the results of the other games to really wait to see if they indeed made it in or they missed the cut.
Yeah, and to clarify, that's not us throwing shade at No Name. If you just, you look at their record score, they are in a very tough group, but currently 0-4 in series, 1-8 in game score. So we will be hoping that Eleventus can, pick up a win for themselves, and that just makes this game more interesting. And what is the UCL if not interesting at all times? So let's start to talk about a little bit of the rosters. Obviously, Wichita Wolves have just been dominating all over the map. And so I guess it's a little bit tough to look at this squad and say, like, oh, this is the player that they have to play around, or, oh, this is, really what their game plan has to be, because it feels like they can kind of do whatever they want. If you look at their match history from last week, they got a Rumble. One of the strongest picks in the patch actually flexed at top lane. So that gives me a lot of hopes for this draft, and, feeling that they have a good read on the meta and have multiple players that can play some of the key picks.
Yeah, and however, I would like to see if they do indeed also play the Rumble in the jungle, just because it is just the strongest champion. Yeah, it rolls off the tongue and it rolls in the jungle and rolls over the rift, so it just rolls everywhere. But it is such a great pick right now. And I mean, the reason why it's better in the jungle than in that top lane is because you pretty much become impervious to your matchup. You don't have to run into a Renekton or a Darius. You don't have to deal with those kinds of shenanigans. You just go in the jungle, you just farm your camps, and then you emerge out of the jungle with this Night Harvester, and you just drop it on the AD carry. And guess what? The AD carry doesn't get to have fun because I'm an AD carry main, and I do not like that. So that's why I'm a jungle main this patch.
This patch, just for the patch until Rumble's gone. Actually, looking forward to the PBE, obviously things can change, but there are not any scheduled nerfs to Rumble, Morgana, Diana, no drastic jungle changes either. So these AP super fast clearing junglers look like they are here to stay, at least for
I'm a jungle main now.
Nightstar is abandoning his old ways. I mean, every ADC main has considered it at some point. You're 10-0, you just get one shot by a 1-6 carry that got a single item, and so that means they can kill you, and you think, man, what if I just played top lane? Or what if I just played jungle?
Yeah.
Like, I would easily hit diamond. I would easily go master. I hate this rule. It's my team's fault. I'm currently in the bounce back phase. I went to the top lane at the beginning of the season. I was a Gnar one trick, got up to where I usually do, mid plat, but I always come back. I always come back.
It's Gnar boomerang. Gnar boomerang always circles back.
We are just waiting for these players to get the drafts set up and ready to go. That's why we're talking about our solo queue histories, because I'm sure everybody at home was dying to know. By the way, how is your climb going, Nightstar? I am currently at plat 4, trying to recover from all the LP that I lost in the top lane.
Yeah, I did play a couple today. It didn't go well, let me tell you. I blame my support, as always. As an AD carry player. I did win my jungle game though. So, you know.
I will say I got auto-filled and played a Nautilus game, and I really feel like I played it flawlessly, perfect game.
I also played a Nautilus game.
Hey, there you go. Did you win?
I did indeed. They played.
Let's just be the champion.
They played Sivir Zareth into me. And I just flashed on them and boom, level 2, cheese them. Easy.
Another pick that I saw last week when I was going through the match history here was actually the Varus. And I think this is a pick that should be seen a lot more than it actually is. Has an amazing laning phase, really good team fighting, just naturally at level 6 when you get access to the ultimate because of how powerful it is, and has a lot of flexibility in the itemization. You can go lethality, you can go just traditional marksman crit on hit. You can throw a little AP in there, even tech in Azanias. So I'm a big fan of the Varus. We got to see Wichita Wolves pull it out last week with the Braum. I am hoping they look towards it again.
Yeah, I think Varus is in a great spot right now. He does it when you have 3 champs in one, basically. You should definitely prioritize him because of all the various forms that
just
you can
more champs play. Champ.
Exactly. Like, because one of the issues in draft, of course, is you pick a champion and you're stuck with that champion. You can't just be like, well, can we just swap out our Kai'Sa for an actual champion? No, you're stuck with the Kai'Sa. But with Varus, you pick him and you see a bad matchup and you can be like, well, let's just scale then. And if you don't want to scale, well, let's just lob big, strong arrows that do a bajillion damage from infinite range. And,
all right. Well, speaking of the draft, I'm going to cut you off, Nightstar, because we're already almost through the first round of bans. Wichita Wolves going to be on the blue side. We're going to see AoE Reborn on the red. The Galio, Nocturne, and Shen banned away. 3 powerful global ultimates. Kind of says to me that Wichita just want to get really good laning phases. That Varus picked up right there. If they can, knock out these globals, get an extended laning phase, and set themselves up with some good matchups, Will be a nice strategy. Senna is the response here. We'll see what's paired alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, those bans really just say, hey, we think we're better players in lanes. So as long as we keep these lanes isolated, make sure there's no teleport cooldowns outside of the teleport summoner spell, then we will be fine. However, at the same time, AoE, they at the very least get themselves kind of a semi-global here with the Tahm Kench, of course. Tahm Kench coming in by himself, not necessarily the most helpful, but the fact that he can bring someone else with him, that could be very impactful. And for the side of Wichita, they immediately respond with a Bard. I love Bard because into Tahm Kench, you just get to freely roam early on.
Yeah. I love the adaptation. Last week it was the Varus Braum, but as soon as you see that Senna Tahm Kench locked in, you know that lane's going nowhere. Varus will be fine in the 1v2. We'll see what the Bard can get done around the map. A global picked up for themselves. It's the Gangplank. I feel like Wichita, minus the Varus, they're just clicking on all the champions with like global or semi-global ultimates. The Bard, the Gangplank, all the bans coming through. They just really want to make sure that they can impact the map whenever they want to, but AoE can't. So they're going to grab a Volley Bear as a bit of a flex pick. Could go top, could go jungle. We'll see how the rest of the draft works out. Notably, Rumble still on the table. The Morgana just banned away. The Diana still up too. So a lot of those powerful picks that we've been talking about have just skated right on by.
Yeah, and that's actually very interesting. And the fact that there hasn't been a whole lot of priority, and it might just be the fact that there are so many picks available. So that is definitely something to keep watch of. Most likely we'll see. Well, actually for AoE, they'll probably go for some sort of mid laner pick here. The issue is, we do know Wichita do play Kiana, and if usually at this slot you're looking at a control mage, if you go control mage here, you will definitely get punished. So it looks like they're going to lock in their solo laner or the top laner here. Aatrox locked in will most likely mean Volibear sent into that jungle role.
Yeah, the first round Gangplank does mean that they get to tailor both their top and mid lane matchup to their liking. But we'll see what Wichita pick up as their jungler here. Ivern, not a pick that I've seen in quite a while. I know he rose to popularity a couple of patches ago, but really felt like he got shoved back down with the rise of all the new AP junglers. But gonna be grabbed here, a lot of safety, some really good team fighting power, and this is gonna be, you know, another good way to just ensure that they always have control of the game. You know, a really cheap Moonstone option starts to bolster up that team fight. They've got great scaling across the board. Starting to really like Wichita's options at every stage of the game.
Yeah, they've got, honestly, a brilliant composition here from the side of Wichita. They have the Ivern, they now throw in an Orianna. Yes, there's not a great ball target for this Orianna, so that might be a little bit more difficult for her, but I don't think that's going to be too problematic when you are playing into things like a Tahm Kench, a Volibear, an Aatrox, who are going to be very linear for this Orianna to be able to just consistently hit 3-man shockwaves over and over again. And on the flip side, we're going to see a last pick Syndra. So this mid lane is, I mean, pretty much a wash. It is going to be a lane we've seen time and time again, but of course Syndra has been nerfed quite a lot, so she's pretty much doesn't have that one-shot threat as much as she did before.
Yeah, and AoE, it kind of feels like they got a bit corralled in this comp. I'm a little worried that they're low on damage. If this Aatrox and this Syndra don't get off to a good start, if they fall behind the damage curve, when you look at all the shielding and just sustain and range from the side of Wichita, AoE have a comp that's designed to disengage with the Tahm Kench and the Syndra, but Wichita just want to stand back and poke you from a million miles away with Varus, engage on you with Gangplank ult and Bard ult, never step on your screen until you're dead. So the engages are going to have to be very on point for the side of AoE. And you're looking at this Volibear, looking at this Aatrox that want to go in while the rest of their team hangs back. They have to be successful in creating chaos, or Wichita are just going to be able to kite them out permanently.
Yeah, that's going to be basically the name of the game. Is just for Wichita, it's about kiting backwards. Continue to utilize your range because there is plenty of it. And Varus, honestly, he could go for Kraken Slayer if he wants, or he could go for the lethality build here. I think both of them do make sense. Because if you're going Kraken Slayer, there's plenty of frontline that you can auto attack, and at the same time, if you want lethality, I mean, it's pretty much a one threat comp in my opinion with the Senna, and the Varus range does compete very well against Senna early on in the game and into the mid game. It's really at the latest stages of the game where it becomes a little bit unfair, but I mean. Late game Senna, everything about her is unfair.
Yeah, I personally would prefer the Kraken Slayer build to come through, but then again, I'm not on this team. Wichita Wolves, all 5 members are infinitely better than I am, so we'll see what their read on the meta is. I will defer to their judgments, but theoretically, when the Varus is probably going to trying to deal with the Volibear and the Aatrox most of these fights, the on hit would just help with that a little bit more. They've already got tons of damage to blow up Syndra and to blow up the Senna. All you got to do is drop a cannon barrage on their head, throw Daisy at them, and they're probably going to die. It's going to be an uphill battle, I think, here for AoE, but I don't want to count them out just yet. Remember, every single win counts, so even if they're able to create some chaos, really throw Wichita off their guard, it can go a long way until helping them in their playoff efforts. So I want to see them giving it their all. I want to see them playing their best, even though this is a scary opponent to face up against.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an uphill battle, but at the very least, for the side of AoE, you're looking at fairly strong scaling with the Senna. Tom Kench also being able to get some farm under him. He's going to be relatively strong. And it is a little bit of a more simplistic composition from the side of AoE, whereas Wichita, because they aren't going to have just a dedicated frontline champion, things could get a little bit dicey if they aren't good at execution. But I mean, this is of course a perfect squad so far, which is why we have confidence in their execution. However, if they falter, AoE, they've got the comp that can take advantage of it.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I don't want to paint Wichita Wolves as this unkillable nightmare. You know, they have lost games before. Their official game score is 8-2. So teams have been able to find single wins off of them in this season. That's all that we're looking for here for AoE Reborn. If they can succeed that, hey, more power to you. But we'll set the bar just a little bit more within reach for now. We're going to toss it over to a short break as these players hop onto Summoner's Rift. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back with game number 1. I paused it though. Welcome back, everybody. Producer, if I could just get you to pull up your screen share so that I can sync up with you. But for all of you watching, um, welcome back here to game number 1. Nightstar, I'm loving this comp from the side of Wichita Wolves. I want to know though, where can they start to fight? Where can they start to make moves around the map?
Yeah, for the side of Wichita State, it's going to be a relatively good time, and they don't have to even force anything here. With this Ivern, of course, you're going to have the ability to just kind of walk up and set up ganks very easily with that slow. And if we're talking about a lane to really maybe enforce their will, it could be into that bottom lane, where they have the range, massive range advantage here early on, and you also have a decent amount of sustain coming in from the bar to even out against the sustain from Senna, Tom Kanjan. There could be some real possibilities of just snowballing that bot side or pulling Bard and going just goon squatting around the map.
I like that option a lot more. Sounds more fun. And the options only increase as level 6s come into play as well. When you get that cannon barrage on the table, all of a sudden you open up the window for Bard to bring in a cheeky flank, throw down the cannon barrage, you turn a 2v2 into 2v4, just like that. So this early stages may be a little bit quiet. We'll see if the teams have something else in store, but I'm keeping my eyes on those levels. Level 6s are going to be a really fun time on Summoner's Rift here in game 1.
Yeah, level 6 will be pretty big here for the side of Wichita. And I mean, at the same time, a little bit as well for the side of AoE Reborn, because they have some pretty solid dive potential, especially when it comes into that top side, because you have, of course, the Aatrox, and then you've got the ultimate onto the Volibear, and if you throw in a Senna ult all the way up top, that could make things pretty scary for a gangplank having to deal with all that.
Yeah. Mabud is in a little bit of trouble here. He does get pulled back by those chains. He's got Bluxy, though, waiting in the brush. Ivern is a very healthy clear once you get the buffs, you get the smite heals. Johnny Rockets is going to...
He tagged him.
Still gets hit, so he has to flash away. Fuzzar is here. We'll see if they want to re-engage. Doesn't land the slow, so they're all just going to walk away. But Scuttle priority so far for the Volibear. I don't think Bluxy likes the sound of that, though. He's moving down. He's pinging. PBN is trying to move to help him, but
no mana on braces.
3 braces isn't letting him, and Fuzzar is there first. Just a really good stop there from the Syndra, not letting the Orianna go help the play. As we pan down to the bottom lane, back to mid, scuffles all over. Pretty big health trade down there, bot. Take L took a big chunk of damage from Grim. And it was Scuttle secured for Bluxy. So that's important. You can actually see the Ivern moving to try to double Scuttle here.
Yeah, we're basically going around in circles. The camera just doesn't stop moving. And now they're going to even set up a steal. They weren't able to get the steal, but they are going to force out the flash, which, of course, early on, now... The question is, how does Volibear gank without level 6? And the answer is, we'll probably have to wait for him to hit level 6.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Good job, though, for Bluxy to track Fuzzar all through that clear. Knew where he started, knew when he was coming top, is able to get both Scuttles as well as being up a camp. So the Ivern feeling really good, well on his way to getting to that one item where he's already 100% effective in the game, ready to go.
Yeah.
Glad to see that Wichita Wolves, although they don't need to be active early on, they're not letting this time go to waste.
Yeah, and they're going to have a lot of ability to kind of dictate. There's no, like, clear, obvious lanes that, hey, this matchup is definitely just a hard win, but slowly but surely, when you accumulate these advantages, you are just going to be able to use your wallet to allow yourself to go for some of these invade plays with this Ivern. And so far, so good here.
Great hover from Bluxy once again. This is the lane to gank if you are Fuzzar. There might not be a lane that screams gank me, but it is like softly whispering it, hoping that Fuzzar doesn't hear. And now the Ivern's there, catches him off guard. See what fight the cameras in the sky just allow us to actually observe. There's a good stun there on a take L. The bot lane and top are shoving into Wichita here, but they're handling it just fine. Fuzzar just relented to going back to farming. Bluxy was able to dissuade that gank, and the bottom lane is doing great here, farming under tower.
Yeah, honestly, the action so far feels very almost very Valorant-esque, where we're just constantly shifting POVs. That's just how much we're just waiting for that first action, and we don't quite know where it's coming from, but you better believe it's coming very soon.
Yeah, and I think Wichita Wolves is one of those teams that will send like 2 people to A, and then they'll full push B, but the people at A had a spike all along. So you're just running around the map, A to B to A to B, and the whole time the spike is planted at C because you're playing Haven. And you didn't even know. You thought you were at Icebox. Shockwave coming up in the mid lane, and here comes the portal from Bard. They land it. Bard Q, one of the most forgiving skill shots in the game. PBN almost dies at tower, and Cannon Barrage will secure the kill. They don't need to be on your screen to take you down. First Blood's going to go over to Wichita Wolves.
A very nice first blood coming in for Wichita Wolves there. A lot of human resources thrown into that one, but they didn't have to expend any summoner resources, which is really big. So yes, you bring in a lot of people over there, but you don't have to burn any extra summoners, which is of course the bigger resource to keep track of. And now that kill might lead into a dragon very shortly for them once they get their recalls.
And we also didn't see them lose anything on that play. Senatop Kensher on a reset, nothing to do there. Fuzzar had to catch the mid wave, and Johnny Rockets was getting shoved in. So it's pure profit for the side of Wichita Wolves. They've brought themselves to a 500 gold lead. I will say that I was expecting a little bit more. When we saw these really good lane setups, I kind of assumed that this team would just try to run away with the laning phase. It's been a much more tempered aggression, but it's been aggression and it's been positive movement for Wichita nonetheless.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, you're looking at a small farm lead up in the top side for this Aatrox. So Johnny Rockets feels like he's in an all right spot, but I mean, the inevitability coming in from Gangplank is always there here. And it's really just the onus is on this Gangplank to make that first mistake in this lane to allow the opportunity for Johnny Rockets or Fuzzar to make the punish play. But yet another roam as Grim is a little bit exposed, but should be more than fine.
Now it's Mabud's turn to try to get out of this one. Just a simple
good flash
away, and he'll be fine. Munching on the Orges will keep him healthy, and it's like it never happened.
Yeah, just pretty much undoes that gank there. Able to kind of hold the minion wave to a certain degree. And yeah, as Johnny Rockets, you just gotta keep hitting those sweet spots, and then perhaps things good here. But
we did see PJ disconnect here. No pause coming through just yet. Maybe this is Wichita Wolves just saying we don't even need our support right now. I'm kidding. I'm trolling, guys. PJer is doing great, and you can already see how much a part of these plays that he has been. Loving to see that he's constantly roaming mid, and they're setting up the same play over and over. PBN goes for the shockwave at the same time that Bard portals over the wall. The last time it didn't work out, PBN went wide on the shockwave, and so they called it off. And that's almost even more impressive to me. That says that they make this play a lot. This is something they've practiced. They know when it can go right, and they know when it can go wrong, and when they should back off.
Yeah, and I mean that's always one of those things with Bard, is that it changes how both teams see the game. The team with the Bard usually has a better read about timings, but the team against the Bard, sometimes they get a little bit lost in just like trying to count how long it takes for some of these rotations to happen. Is, hey guys, getting a load of our faces. We're still in a pause. PJR, he's off. He's on a magical journey.
Yep, he took a portal all the way through the servers. You were talking about Valorant. He decided to hop over, switch tabs. He got down to the wire. He needs to plant the spike, quickly ace, and then he'll be back in time for Herald.
Yeah, exactly. But looks like we're getting close to coming back in. I think, it's just an ever so slight gold lead. So honestly, both of these teams definitely more than close enough that the next play could have a very large impact on how this game state plays out.
Yeah, and let's take into consideration that the lane for both sides is very strong. So if this game extends, then the gold lead doesn't really swing much more than 2,000 to 3,000 gold. We could really see it all come down to some big team fights around objectives, and whoever executes better in those is going to pull away with a win. But the way that this early game has been trending, although slow, it does feel like Wichita Wolves feel very in control, despite the gold lead being close. So we'll be keeping an eye on what ways that they can extend that gold lead as the game goes on, because you don't want to let this Senna just free farm these souls. Currently at 37, not too bad for 11 minutes.
Yeah. While you're in lane, of course, it's going to be a little bit slower, especially into this lane of the double range. So they're doing a good job at doing what they can so far here, but slowly, once some of these team fights start occurring, that's of course when Take L will just start to pile things on with the stacks. But now Bluxy's in trouble.
Yep, he is in the trouble at the top lane. My directed cam was trolling me for a little bit. He just goes down. Fuzzar gonna grab kill credit for that one, and they're gonna strike back here. Teleport to mid to catch the wave. It's, you don't like to blow that extra summoner, but you got the positive play and nothing is given up in return. So that's a win.
Yeah, definitely a really nice play coming in from AoE Reborn. And Bluxy just a little bit slow on the flash there. Not quite sure when he wanted to use that summoner. And in the end, he ends up kind of fumbling that play. But it's hopefully not going to cost them too much here, as they're going to be most likely looking to try and make a play around this next dragon.
Yeah, and you're an Ivern. Like, you're going to get that Moonstone pretty soon, and you'll be fine. The Gangplank doesn't even die. He still gets the shove in the wave. So other than that gold going over, which it goes on to Fuzzar, if you factor in all the context, it doesn't even really feel like that was much of a bad thing for Wichita Wolves. Still good that it happened for the side of AoE Reborn. You'll take any gold you can get at this point, but it hasn't changed anything on the map. And Wichita now dropping the Herald in mid. They're going to get first tower, possibly here if Shelly can finish it off, but they'll get the plates regardless.
Yeah, they get themselves 2 plates there.
Ooh, ultimate from Grim just deletes Take L. Is able to get away with the help of the heal, and his team is there to keep him alive, but Grim ready to fight.
Grim definitely looking very strong already here. It does look like he's going for the Kraken Slayer build, which I know you wanted to see a little bit more. I'm more particular for the lethality build, just because it's just so unfun to play against as the Senna that I think you should definitely go it, because it makes the backline almost unplayable here for both Syndra and Senna. But that is the decision he's gone for, and it's still going to help him shred through his front line, or the opposing front line. As I got thrown for a loop when I saw the Devour come through.
That was a solo queue Devour. Hem was saying, that's my melee minion. I want to get my stack off. I see you going for the auto attack. Let me take care of that for you. I've seen it in solo queue 100 times. I've been on the receiving end of that Devour. Maybe that was the call. Maybe that was just a Hem, having a little bit of fun, knowing that there was nobody around. That is going to be the dragon picked up, though, here for the side of AoE Reborn. Good pickup for them. Bluxy is up in the top side right now. I don't know if they had vision, but they knew that that was their end of the map, and I'm glad that they took advantage of it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, for the side of... okay. So, honestly, for the side of Wichita State...
Little bit of
they get a
danger
kill?
here for Grim. The slow coming through from Take L is a bit scary, but they don't have the damage to finish him off. So PJ's there. It's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be fine now that the Bard has shown up. But now in the top side...
It's fine. Everything is fine.
Teleport!
It's certainly not fine right now. He does manage to get away.
He's fine!
The shields are there. And my butt is just going to tear through him. He buys time for his team. PBN gets the kill. What a turnaround play there for Wichita Wolves.
Trevor, he's fine.
He's fine. This is fine. Yeah. Everything is fine. It's on fire. We're in the middle of it all, but we're having fun. Daisy's going to tank up the tower. Fuzzar, you have to just walk away here, bud.
Fuzzar's interested in trying to catch some of the CXP. I don't know if he's got another thunderstorm left to cast, but they will end up backing off. But it's one of the issues with the Aatrox is if he doesn't get rolling from lane, slowly but surely Gameplank will just kind of outduel him eventually, and he's just in general usually a more useful champion with the Gangplank, and that does not bode well for Mr. Aatrox.
No, it doesn't. He has finished his Gore Drinker, though. He isn't too far behind the curve. I'll say that's the one caveat for, really the whole side of AoE Reborn is, sure, Wichita Wolves are kind of taking what they want, but, they're at least leaving behind scraps. We see mythics coming through across the board. The gold still hasn't gotten atrocious. We're within 2,000. So executed well, a team fight could still go the way of AoE.
Yeah, it certainly could. The issue is, I would say the Gore Drinker, while it's still fine in lane because you are into a melee matchup.
I would have liked to see Stride Breaker.
Yeah. There's so much range, man. But now...
Your Grump, our Grump, as here comes the Bard ultimate, does catch out a Hem. But I don't think they have the damage in place to follow this up. Very tanky Tom Kench. Now PBN is a bit far forward, has to flash over the wall. And successfully, AoE is able to repel the assault into the jungle. Grump secured, mission accomplished.
Yeah, but now
he's
what? No way.
In barrage, and it's just that easy. 1, 2, 3. Johnny Rockets is going to be in base for 30 seconds.
Oh no. Once that solo kill comes through, that's when
it's all downhill from here.
Yeah. Johnny Rockets, you're definitely not going to the moon this game.
No diamond hands here in game number 1.
Yeah. He's gonna need a really nice team fight to really try and pull things back. But again, we talked about it. The range is just so frustrating to play against, and if you're trying to get through, get to the back line through an Ivern Daisy and an Oriana ball, like, woo, that is good luck, buddy.
And to try to exemplify why this game feels so out of control, even though the gold lead is rather close, I think we just have to took, like you've been saying, you have to look at the range and what these teams want to do. How is Aatrox and Volibear supposed to get into the backline with all this map control? I don't know if we can get a vision toggle, but there are no teleport wards. It's very hard for AoE to even walk into their own jungle at this point with how confident Wichita Wolves have been progressing. So for Johnny Rockets and Fuzzar to find the flanks that they need feels almost impossible at this point. Sure, if they get that flank, they can be effective, but the chances of them getting it seems slimmer and slimmer by the minute.
Yeah, and I feel like it really comes down to this dragon here. And at the same time, like, you can't force the side of Wichita to make this play around dragon. They don't have to contest here. They can wait for that third one when all of a sudden they get that second item. And I mean, their second item is just so much better than the side of AoEs once they hit their second item. And my bud, he's looking for yet another 1v1.
He just takes down the tower before he turns his attention to Johnny Rockets. There goes the cannon barrage as he lands the barrel. Senna ultimate's going to come through for a little added support, and Johnny Rockets will live to fight another 1v1. Dragon now is the prize on everyone's eye, though. Fuzzar is going to retreat to his own jungle. He wants to farm. Like, if you're Fuzzar, you don't want to be dancing around Dragon right now. You want to be picking up gold. But Wichita, they're going to take the first chance they get to just start this one up. It's the slow waltz back and forth. But they're taking the next step forward, and yeah, Fuzzar just going to let this one go.
Yeah.
It's not an important dragon, so he'll just go to his camps on the top side.
Yeah, so that's going to be second dragon secured coming in from the side of Wichita Wolves, and they're well on their way to try and force that Mountain Soul. This next dragon is really what everyone is going to be staring at, though, as that would be Soul Point for the side of Wichita Wolves. And AoE Reborn, they really need a contest here. So for them, it's all about ramping up an interesting. So we do have all the mythics, first mythics coming out, and interestingly enough, we do also have a Shurelia's Battle Song instead of the Moonstone. So this is going to give them a little bit more mobility, which I think kind of makes up for the fact that they're all range champions, or they don't have that bona fide frontline champion per se. It's going to add a little bit of kiteability to their comp, which still, like, if you have Moonstone, you kind of build yourself a pseudo tank. So honestly, either of those support items would have been fine.
It's a bit more high risk, high reward. You're going to get the extra kiteability, like you said, but you also, if you fall into that trap, if you get hit by the perfect flank from the Volibear and the Aatrox, that damage is going to stick a lot more in those situations. So I like it from Wichita Wolves. It's, you know, a bit braver. It's a bit more in your face, saying, hey, we don't even think we're going to be at risk of losing a team fight to you. So we're just going to take more mobility. You know, who needs healing when you don't take damage? We'll see if that's a little bit of hubris that AoE can work with, though. I love seeing that, you know, there's opportunities for AoE Reborn to come into this one. Despite it being just so slow and so close, it doesn't feel like they're out of it. Despite a lot of games that we see here at UCL where we're 22 minutes in and, oh, that team is 17,000 gold ahead. This is over.
Yeah, we've definitely casted a couple of slightly one-sided games, but this one doesn't quite feel that way. Still only 3,000 gold difference between the two teams, so definitely more than capable of making up the gold differential, especially when you have a champion like Senna. Yes, Senna hasn't been too nuts with her scaling, but at the same time, she's around that 4 soul a minute mark, which, I mean, slightly under 4 soul a minute, which you would say probably around 3 souls is what you would expect if you're stuck in lane the entire time. But now that you're out of lane, 4 souls is a good mark.
Yeah, and most importantly, in my eyes, she's hit that all-important 80 stack mark. You get that 100 range. You feel a lot more like a marksman at that point, less like a Vayne, more like a Caitlyn. And team fights become a bit more feasible for the Senna. She can take a bit more risks when she steps forward. So all kind of gearing up again for one of these big objective team fights that we alluded to early on in the game, because we haven't seen any wild swings in gold. These Mountain Souls, these Barons, these Elders are just going to be so important for these squads. And I think that that's a good thing for the side of AoE Reborn, because they have a front-to-back team fight comp. Sure, they're going to be at a disadvantage, but you can always overcome that with a little bit of skill.
Yeah, and when the game is just so tight like this as well, if you get that one good flank, all of a sudden the gold just immediately equalizes. If you're able to find a Baron on top of that, then you've got a Baron power play ticking, and then things can really start rolling for your side. So for AoE Reborn, they just have to somehow get that nice deep ward or set up that nice Aatrox flank, and then all of a sudden you've got something to work with for this next team fight.
Yeah, and you can see them walking through, clearing out some vision in the river here. They have not really been able to step past the line of scrimmage much at all this game. That is probably the deepest ward I've seen in this bot side of the map here, actually.
And it's spotted.
Yeah, you got to be careful clearing that out if you're the Senna. She gets hit with that sweeper and immediately backs off. But teleport ward now gone. And the closest thing to a flank would be teleporting to the wave down bot lane. Even mid and top are pushed into AoE Reborn here.
Yeah.
Now we're setting up for the Drake. Here comes a hem, pops the Tom Kench. Trying to get in the back line, but a huge shockwave is just going to destroy the fight before it starts. They do find PBN. That's a big team fight tool gone, but a two-man Bard ultimate's going to buy some time. Here's now Mabud in the fight. Fuzzar is low, gobbled up by the Tom Kench, but Mabud's not going to let him away from downtown. He finds the parlay to take out the jungler, and that'll all but secure the fight, secure the dragon. Wichita Wolves going to find themselves on Soul Point.
And not just that, it really secures them this gold lead, as now they're going to add an extra 1,000 to that lead here, get themselves that next mountain dragon as well. And Trevor, we've got a problem in our hands. This gangplank is out of control.
You call it the problem, I call it the solution, Nightstar. I'm trying to binge Attack on Titan tonight, so the faster that Wichita Wolves can get me out of this series, the better.
Well, that's unfortunate for AoE Reborn, because, I mean, they're trying to...
Sometimes they don't think it be like it do, but it do. It do be like that.
But honestly, that fight really just started off with the fact that in PBN, he got such perfect ball placement. They got stuck in a choke there, and as a result, you saw Johnny Rockets and 163 Braces get caught up in that shockwave. And I mean, honestly, it didn't really matter who else got tagged after that, because 163 Braces pretty much out of the fight. And Johnny Rockets, if he wants to play the game, well, you're an Aatrox. If you lose 2/3 of your health at the start of it, it makes it mighty difficult to try and walk up.
And props to Wichita Wolves for not letting AoE get the flank that we were talking about for minutes before that fight. That was the reason they had to funnel in to the choke point, because there was no wards. Their waves were pushed into their towers, but they have to fight for the Soul Point Dragon. So it does feel like they were handed just a bunch of bad options, and Wichita Wolves come out on top once again. Now Baron is on the table, but again, they feel no rush to actually force this one. They're going to continue to starve AoE Reborn of any resources possible, slowly move their territory further and further up Summoner's Rift.
And they're slowly, really encroaching up when it comes to trying get.
Is this the UCL or the LCK, Nightstar? I feel like we're like season 6 where the entire meta was just who can have more wards on the map at a time.
Well, you know, it's slow, methodical. I mean, it certainly was the LCS for a time as well. I believe if you watched last year.
Flashbacks, Nightstar. We'll hold that thought. Volibear caught out. He does use the ultimate to get away.
Ooh.
And it looks like it'll be the disengage, but you know, big cooldowns burnt for the side of AoE. Important ultimates.
Yeah, and by important ultimates, you mean the Senna ult, because that's the one that's going to have long ramifications. The cooldown, much, much longer than this Volibear, who's at 90 seconds left, and the Senna has an extra 20 seconds on her ult cooldown in comparison. So that's a big timing window where the side of Wichita, they can just go for that team fight.
They certainly can, or they can just continue to play the map as they have been, farming up, getting more gold onto this gangplank as far as this Orianna. You know, normally when you're facing up against a Senna, you caution against letting the game extend too long, but at this point, all 3 carries are outpaced in gold. So until they're full build, you're fine taking it a little bit easy.
Yeah, you're definitely very comfortable here.
Please don't wait till full build, by the way, to start playing the game, Wichita.
I mean, look at how far ahead this gangplank is. He's got Sterix Gauge, Triforce, and now a Collector. Collector not necessarily super good against this front line, but you definitely would say that this item, if he gets the right barrel chain onto that backline is absolutely decimated.
It also really ups the threat of the cannon barrage, because if you get hit by the some poke from an Orianna or a Varus, that cannon barrage can just straight finish you off with the Collector from an entire map away. Ivern is going to let Daisy take the fall for face checking there. We thank you for your service. And I like to see this, though. AoE is trying to demand control of the river. If they don't let Wichita Wolves set up, then they don't have to worry about getting funneled into the choke point. However, they're taking a lot of poke here.
Oh, they only find one.
To catch on to braces. It's an important one. Shockwave gonna drag him back in, but Tom Kench has the save. They find a kill onto
They can still turn this
once again, and this might be the team fight. But Johnny Rockets, there's too much damage. There's too much kite back. And here comes my bud. That is how you flank a team fight. He gets a double kill to crush the hopes and dreams of AoE Reborn and secure the Mounted Soul for Wichita Wolves.
Yeah, and my bud's got your back on that one, as right when it looked so good at the start for AoE Reborn, they were able to get rid of the super annoying Orianna that's been really frustrating to play against. And you thought for a moment that could have been the fight. And then my bud shows up on the backside, and I mean, with how much damage he's got there, he just absolutely ransacks the rest of that fight. And all they can do is just run it or walk it off. And it's definitely going to hurt in the morning.
Syndra Steel, not in the cards today. Tom Kench going to ultimate just to watch the purple fireworks, the purple beams of light in the sky, as all of Wichita Wolves are going to reset here and move back out on the map. They've got purple capes. They've got the Mountain Soul Shield. They're feeling very good right now, Nightstar. Are they ready for the final push?
I would say so, just because of with the Varus, you're looking, of course, to try and start some siege. They don't necessarily have a ton of wave clear on the side of AoE Reborn, and I mean, we actually have an Infinity Edge completed by the Senna, so going for max auto attack damage, but not throwing in a ton of autos. as you would usually see that you'd be looking at something like a rapid fire cannon, maybe the rage knife. Just the one rage knife here is you would get pretty solid value at this point in the game, but
Grim going aggressive under the turret, gonna tank the tower. Only a couple of shots, he'll be fine. Daisy is gonna try to dissuade the flank here. Johnny Rockets, oh, that's the danger of the cannon barrage. Almost gets collected. As now PBN once again is gonna be the target, but he'll get out just fine with the flash. Daisy walking forward, tanking everything up. Good scatter to the weak. And there's that Senna ultimate coming through. Doesn't find much value. Health bars are low.
Oh,
the
wait.
Grim steps too far forward and takes a huge chunk of damage. This could be a very small window to walk forward. But again, the kiting, the poke, Mabud is sitting in the top lane this whole time, just blasting away at structures. Take the L will force him to back off, and they're going to try to
Oh!
He flashes forward to get to the kill on the Senna, and now where's the damage? Aatrox is going to come through in a 1v3. What can Mabud get done? Not enough. Can't find the second kill, but has he bought enough time?
I mean,
minions.
They're on the Nexus. Towers.
Nexus tower down. Fuzzar has to go back to base to heal, and the Aatrox is dealing with waves, trying to keep their final inhibitor from falling. Daisy's just going to be a nuisance here. Wichita Wolves not quite pulling off this. They've lost their top laner, but they still feel strong as a 4-man unit.
Oh, the turn.
I'd say if Daisy is still alive, you're still feeling pretty good. A Hem gets caught there and just deleted. Where'd he go? There was a catfish there 2 seconds ago, I swear. Now he's sitting in the belly of Wichita Wolves, and it looks like the game just ends. The players must have already left the lobby, and that's going to let us know that unless some really crazy things happen, Wichita Wolves is going to walk away with game number 1.
Yeah. Looks like Wichita Wolves take game number 1 there. They run away with it. It was slow, methodical, but in the end, like... Oh, okay.
And I am getting word now that due to an E-sub, Wichita Wolves actually started this series 1-up. I was under the impression that it was just some bans. It seems it was a bit more severe. So that's it, folks. That's the entire series. I guess now we see why Wichita Wolves were playing the long game. They just wanted to get a little bit more airtime because they knew that it was going to be one and done if they won this one. Congratulations to them. That is mean that they are going to, without a doubt, lock the first place in their group. They'll be heading to playoffs as the number 1 seed. And unfortunately for AoE Reborn, that means that I think their fate might be in the hands of Eleventus now. Mm-hmm. Really just hovering on that 3rd, 4th place. Remember, it's top 4 in the group, and they were tied for 4th with Eleventus. So fingers crossed for them. But if they do not make it to playoffs, thank you so much for coming out to play. And thankfully, the seasons are short turnaround, so we'll see you back out in the Rift in not too long.
Yeah. For AoE Reborn, they're going to be looking at the rest of the results tonight here. And hoping that some of them land the right way for them. But for the side of Wichita Wolves, they secure themselves that first seed. They're going to be very comfortable heading into playoffs. And I mean, if they keep pulling out the Gangplanks, the Iverns, I have really big hopes for them, because these are picks that we definitely want to see. Certainly the Ivern can be punished with some of those new AP junglers. But if you're willing to constantly bring out the Bard, that's playing at a different tempo than what a lot of other teams really understand how to play.
Yeah, I'm going to send Wichita Wolves away with a word of caution, though, walking into the playoffs. Although I loved the composition and I loved the way that they played the map today, it didn't feel like at any point they were ever tested in the rotations. And this is a very high-risk, high-reward comp and style that they went to, especially you saw in the itemization going for the Shirelias instead of the Moonstone. This means that if you do get caught out, we were saying it over and over and over again, that one team fight can just throw the entire game away. And when you're going into the playoffs, you're going to be going up against these teams eventually. There is an undefeated, at least series-wise, team in every single group. And if they win their series tonight, they will be walking away with first place. As soon as a team starts contesting you on those rotations, are you able to keep it in line? Do you fall apart? What happens when some of those plays don't go your way? That's going to be the questions that I have for Wichita Wolves. Looking forward to playoffs, but they should at least get 1 week of a easier matchup with walking away in the first seed.
Yeah, it should be a relatively good time. Of course, anything can really happen in the playoffs here, just because, well, your season record doesn't matter at that point. It's just a fresh start. So if teams get the proper read on this meta, which of course is a very different meta than what you would say from 2 or 3 weeks ago. Heck, I mean, like I said before, I've transitioned from the AD carry main, and I'm definitely going into the jungle for these next couple of weeks.
Well, we'll see how the playoff meta changes. I know, like we said, no scheduled nerfs to the AP junglers, and I so hope we get to see them pulled out in earnest in playoffs. Maybe some of them need to be perma-banned, but I hope they get through every once in a while. That's going to be it for us tonight, though, on the broadcast. Thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Congratulations to Wichita Wolves for the first seed in their group. And thank you so much for AoE Reborn for coming out to play. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed to see if they actually make it into the playoffs. Make sure you guys are tuning in next week, same place, same time. Follow Upsurge on Twitter to make sure that there's no shenanigans in the stream swapping. We don't always know which one we're gonna be on, but if you check there, they're gonna let you know. And you're not gonna want to miss me and Nightstar bringing you week 1 of playoff action. We'll see you there. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay gaming.